Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another Cook With Me video. In today's video, I am going to be addressing some major cravings that I have been having, and that is pizza and brownies. Definitely craving the two of those. So today we're going to be making a delicious keto pizza, and we're also going to be making some brownies, some delicious ooey gooey brownies. I cannot wait. Sugar-free brownies. So if you are not on a diet, no big deal. You can skip this Cook With Me or watch if you're curious. But if you are like me and you are on a new weight loss journey, health kick, you know, still the new beginning of the year, if we're still on all of our bandwagons, hopefully you can get some ideas from this video. So let's get started. All right, my friends, we're gonna get started with our brownies. Here's a look at our ingredients. I'll have the recipe linked for you down below, but the two primary things that you probably won't have are almond flour and some kind of sugar-free sweetener. Those are things that you might not have in your home if you aren't currently doing some kind of low carb or low sugar diet. So those are things you're going to want to have. Start by greasing an 8x8 dish. My pan was definitely not small enough, so that is a lesson I learned the hard way. And then you're going to start off with 2 eggs that you're going to just beat in your bowl. Get them nice and smooth. Make sure that all of your yolks are broken up and combined with your whites. And then you're going to add in a half a cup of butter that's been melted but cooled, so that way you aren't scrambling any of your eggs when you're pouring your butter in. Once you have all your butter in, go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm using the Watkins vanilla. This is my favorite affordable brand of vanilla. If you can afford a nicer version, that's great, but this is a good option for something that you can find at Walmart that's still affordable. Next up, you're going to add in your artificial sweetener. So I am using monk fruit today. You can use Swerve or something else, but you need a half a cup of your sweetener, and go ahead and mix that into your wet ingredients until it begins to dissolve. You want that to be nice and smooth. What I will say here is I wish I had used a beater and not just my plastic spatula here. I definitely think I missed the mark by not using an electric hand mixer and getting this really, really smooth. I think it would have changed the consistency of my brownies, but that's okay. We're learning. Next up, I'm adding in a half a cup of flour, almond flour, and a third of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, followed by just a dash of baking powder at 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now, I did not read the ingredients and the recipe properly. It says to mix them in slowly and not all at once. And as you can see, my batter was a little bit lumpy. So when I go back to do this again, I'm going to change it up a bit. But I will say I tasted the batter and it tastes exactly like brownie mix. It's incredible. So wasn't as smooth and, you know, easy to pour. I definitely had to scoop it into my pan and form it. And all of the pictures of the recipes I'm seeing, you should be able to pour it. So I think I did something wrong. I'm going to go back and remake a different recipe because I liked the flavor. It just didn't have that ooey gooey texture that I was looking for. So definitely going to find another recipe to try, but go ahead and spread this out across your dish. As I mentioned, I think this is an 8x8, but I think it might, it's either that my pan was too big or that my brownies weren't proper. But here's how they look. I'm adding a little bit of diced up walnuts to 1/3 of the brownie mix because that's how I like it. And then you pop them into a 350-degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. Now we're going to get started on our pizza crust. Now this is incredible. Again, I'll have the recipe linked for you down below, but this is only a 4-ingredient pizza crust, which just blows my mind. And it really did turn out perfectly. So you start out with some mozzarella. You need 1.5 cups of shredded mozzarella. Now I did use already shredded mozzarella, but you could get a block to keep it a little bit more fresh. I think that's what I'll do next time, but for this it worked out perfectly. So just using a 1/2 cup scoop, put 3 of those in, and then you need 2 ounces of cream cheese. Now, I had made sure that my cream cheese was nice and soft based off of the last cream cheese recipe I followed. However, we did end up microwaving this, so it wasn't necessary. So go ahead and add your 2 ounces of cream cheese, and then you're going to take this over to your microwave. Now, the recipe says to microwave it for around 90 seconds, and so that's what I'm starting off with. And then you're going to come in halfway through and mix it up. Take a look at how it's going. You're going to see that it is totally melting together and combining really well. So I just used a plastic or rubber spatula, gave it a really good stir. It wasn't sticking to the sides or anything, which was nice. Then I put it back into the microwave to finish the rest of the 90 seconds. And then when it was done, again, I gave it a really good stir and it was ready to go. Here it is. It looks so good. So again, I'm just stirring it up, making sure that all of the cream cheese is combined with the mozzarella cheese. And then you're going to take 1 egg, beat it in a measuring cup or something to the side. You're not going to be able to beat it once it's in your bowl. And then you're going to add that to your cheese. Now, what I will say is that I feel like I might have done something a little bit funky here. I feel like I should have mixed my almond flour in with my butter, but it says to mix them in together. It says mix in a beaten egg and the almond flour, and I will say it was a little bit clumpy. The recipe does say to mix, as much as you can with the spoon, and then to use your hands to hand knead the rest of the dough. So it did come together and it tasted phenomenal, but I will say that I felt like it was a little bit like clumpy, wasn't as smooth as all of the pictures appeared. So again, maybe it's something that I did, but everything that I am seeing in the pictures, it definitely looks a lot more smooth. And next go round, we'll give it another shot. But after I did the hand kneading, it definitely did turn into more of a dough-like consistency. So it was time to roll it out. So the recipe calls for using 2 pieces of parchment paper, spray them a little bit with Pam so that your dough doesn't stick, and then you're going to roll this out. Now the recipe says to roll it out to about 1/3 of an inch, and I will say I definitely think it should be thicker. So my rolling pin is actually designed for rolling out cutout cookies, and so I have this nifty like measuring tool where it will show me exactly what 1/3 of an inch is, and it will make sure that my cookie dough or whatever it is that I'm rolling out is exactly the same thickness all the way around. So I made sure that I rolled it out to exactly 1/3 inch, and I definitely think it was too thin. It did say out to about a 10-inch diameter, which this is. It's definitely like a large dinner plate, but I think it was too thin. It definitely did not plump up like I was anticipating it would. So I'll definitely try something a little bit different next time. I'm grabbing my pizza pan here, giving it a little spray with the Pam, and then you're going to transfer your dough onto your pan. Now, I did this in a very non-graceful way. You could probably find a much more graceful way, but this worked out fine, and you can see it's nice and smooth, and it really does look like pizza dough. So it's coming together. Here's a close-up look. It's nice and smooth and ready to go. Now, here's the funny story, guys. I, again, not reading the recipe, completely dressed my pizza and didn't realize until afterward that I was supposed to bake it first. So poke it with a lot of holes with a fork, and then you're going to bake your naked pizza dough for about 8 minutes until it is a little bit brown around the edges. Mine looks a little browner because it already had some pizza sauce that I wiped off. So make sure you read your whole recipe before you get started. That is the lesson of today's video, you guys. Read your whole recipes. So I'm adding on my tomato pizza sauce. So the recipe does say that Rao's pizza sauce is the lowest in carbohydrates, and that's actually what I already had in my fridge. That's what we use for our pizza nights, so it worked out perfectly. 1 serving is 1/4 of a cup, so I did 2 servings. I did a 1/2 a cup for the whole pizza. And now I'm just going to season it up. This is how I like to do mine. So I'm adding a little pink Himalayan salt, some freshly ground black pepper, garlic salt, onion salt, and a little bit of dried oregano. I think that just seasoning up your crust gives your pizza a whole new level of flavor. Obviously, pizza sauce has flavor, but adding your own seasonings does add an extra bit of pow to it, and I just love to season everything. You will not eat anything that I make that has not been super seasoned. I like really seasoned food, and that goes for pizza too. So now I am just eyeballing my cheese. I didn't really measure this part out. I was so hungry that I was like, just put all the cheese on here already. So loaded it up with cheese, and now I am just sprinkling some dried basil. I was out of fresh basil, so now it's going into the oven for 5 to 10 minutes. Keep a very close eye, and voila, you have a low carb, super cheesy, absolutely delicious looking pizza that you will never be able to tell is not your normal pizza. Okay, my friends, I'm back. My pizza is done. Holy moly. I cheated because I already had a bite, but oh my gosh. That's pretty dang close to real pizza. I didn't have vegetables that I wanted to put on here, and I'm massively regretting it because I think it would be delicious with some peppers, like yellow peppers. I think it'd also be good to do like a margarita style with chunks of mozzarella and fresh basil. I did put some dry basil, but it needs fresh. That's delicious. Okay, now it's time for the real moment of truth. It's time to taste the brownie. Now here's the thing about the brownie. It called for an 8x8 dish. I didn't have an 8x8 dish, so I cooked it. I think mine might have been, I'm not sure, but my brownie came out really thin, and it's definitely not as moist looking as the one on Pinterest. So I don't know what I did wrong, but you know what? It's still a brownie. It's still soft, and you know, pliable. So my house smelled like an actual brownie, so hopefully it tastes like an actual brownie. Let's see. Wow. Okay. That's actually pretty good. Now, what I will say is that if you are not sugar adapted, which means you have not been eating sugar-free or very, very low sugar, this will probably not be very tasty. However, if you're like me and you've been without sugar for a while, it's been a month now, this will be really, really tasty. And the texture, a little dry. I definitely have to watch it a little bit better next time and find something smaller to bake it in, but definitely good enough to hit the spot when you're craving something sweet. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of another Cook With Me video. I think this one was a huge success. I now have a recipe that I can use when my family does make your own pizza night, which we do a lot. So I am super thrilled about that. And I'm gonna get creative with my pizzas moving forward. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know down below. Give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe to come back for more. And until the next one, my friends, happy eating. Okay, this is for bloopers. Danny, what do you think?
Delicious.
Kids?
So good.
Does it taste like a real pizza?
Yeah.
Tastes like a real pizza.
Like what?
Like everybody
Tastes
in your house could eat this. They don't have to, but
Tastes like a crust.
tastes like a crust, right?
Really cheesy.
It's really cheesy. Well, the whole thing is cheese.
Yeah.
Delicious, right?
Yes.
Whole family approves.